Welcome to another edition of a Farmer's Mid-Morning Show right here from County 034. Jackie, unacheka nini bana?
I'm happy. Yeah.
Karibuni sana. Welcome to another edition of karibu sema weekend blues. Mid-morning show right here from Farmers Media, where we want to discuss what is happening in the world right now, but more importantly, what is happening right here in our country. We are facing drought. We are facing challenging situations right now, where our beloved countrymen, some of them are facing they're in dire circumstances, and we as farmers, we want to see what we can do now to support the government initiatives that are out there and other well wishers as well. We are facing drought, the drought that has never happened before. Failed rains, failed farms, expensive inputs, and all that. So we want to discuss about farming and drought. In Kenya, agriculture plays a very big part in terms of the revenue. We know that 70% of the labor force is actually in agriculture, but where is the disconnect? We have seen farmers throwing food getting spoiled, fresh produce getting spoiled in the farms. We want to see what the challenge is. This week we start a discussion on farming and drought, having all the factors constant, that we also have COP27 coming in and starting right here in Egypt. We want to ask ourselves hard questions. Is this another boardroom meeting? Are these meetings that people go take photos, deliberate, come up with resolutions? Where are the resolutions that happened in Glasgow COP26? Those are questions that we want to ask ourselves. And starting today is going to be big and bold. And I have my two panelists, two very good panelists today. I don't know, I love that to see me to TV. Daktari, introduce yourself.
Robert Mokio. I'm not very new here. I'm always here to discuss topics, and we've discussed the issue of drought and famine and whatever is affecting the country and the Horn of Africa as we speak. Thank you for having me.
Brilliant. And one Jackie Moore. Jackie, introduce yourself professionally.
My name is Jacqueline. I'm a evening drive host, and I'm happy to be here.
Lakini bora ukashow watu wasemangi titles zao.
Tuko na mingi, ni venye ziko nyingi, unataka kusikia gani?
Welcome. Guys, I want us to discuss something. I know when I sent this topic, you kept on asking me, is it farming or is it farming?
Yeah.
We have farmers across Kenya, true. And we have a lot of money being put in there. We see a lot of input being distributed. We see a lot of fresh produce. But we also have drought. And apart from just the drought, because drought is you're giving us the definition of drought.
Yeah.
But where is the food? Where is the food? Where has the food gone to? Yes, it is expensive, but is it there?
Food definitely won't be there when you have a drought. You see, it's the effect of the drought that causes the famine.
But is it famine or drought?
It is a drought. Drought
Yes.
is as a resultant of bad weather, no rains, very high temperatures.
Yes.
That inhibit growth of growth of plants.
But my question, which as you explain that, my question is just simple. We have government land in very fertile areas. We have fertilizer that is being distributed. Where is the disconnect? Where did it start hitting us? We were being told, and I know this is bold conversations, that there's something that contributed to food prices being high. But the reality on the ground is not that. Jackie, how much are you spending? The same amount of, but Jackie, do you cook?
Guy.
Are we spending the same amount of money in the food that we were doing?
No, I'm not spending. I can imagine last weekend, over the weekend, I bought eggs, and one egg is trading at between 17 shillings and 20 shillings. And kitambo, an egg used to go for 7 or 10 shillings. So it's like double the price. You can, if you're a family of 4 and you're consuming like 2 eggs per person, that is 4 times 20.
And you
80
know, when
shillings.
you have young people, sometimes they make 3 in 1. They make 3 eggs. Chop up.
So you're torn between doing the math of should we eat eggs or meat? Yeah.
Or yesterday my son told me, Daddy, you know, since we eat a lot of eggs, I think it's a good idea for us to have chicken. Daktari, when did this start hitting us?
Started hitting when the rain stopped. Agriculture, you know, we are not so much into alternative source of agriculture in terms of technology.
Move a bit closer.
In terms of technology.
Yes.
But you know, most of the farming that we do in Africa, in Kenya in particular, is all rain-fed. Yeah, we've not gone.
The one I'm advocating for, rain-fed agriculture.
We've not gone deep into other alternative climate-smart agriculture. Yeah, because the more we depend on rain-fed agriculture, the problem will continue being there.
But is climate smart agriculture a long-term solution? Because what people are looking at is just short-term solutions. Because the more you continue doing those whatever you're calling climate smart, the more you're continuing to destroy the environment. And where the rain started beating everyone is not when the rain stopped falling. All these things happened when people started destroying the environment.
I wish the producer actually could be able to pull down what Egypt produces best in Africa: tomatoes, fruits.
And the rains are not there.
All those.
Even
Israel. I mean.
In fact, it's very interesting that even Dubai now.
Is the food indigenous? Is the food indigenous?
Israel in production of all those tomatoes.
You know, Jackie has asked a very interesting question, which I think is something that.
Is the food indigenous or?
I mean,
it's the other one.
But let me ask you, Jackie.
Is it healthy?
They just use irrigation. That's all.
You know,
and those are the things that are destroying the environment.
There used to be a place up town. I know we are of age. That after somewhere, you know, there's a place called F2 there. When you used to leave F2, there's a place you'd have to pass there. You would get chicken. Was that chicken indigenous? But it served that purpose. So I think the essence of food now in the world is the essence of healthy and safe food. Whether it is indigenous or organic or GMO, is it healthy? Is it safe? Because is that what is the alternative to hunger?
Actually, over the weekend, I saw somebody post online. Somebody in the US. He was going through the aisles of Walmart and showing guys organic. This is, you know, there they have options.
Yes.
Of choosing between organic. There's organic there. There's the GMO. So he's looking at the price. Even the bread is, they've written the bread, organic bread or inorganic bread. Prices of organic bread, which is like a small one, is $3.
Yes.
The not organic is $2.
Yes.
But very big.
Yes.
But people are going for the $3. Which brings me to the question, you know, sometimes when money is there, you are spoiled for choices. You can go, but now you are in a situation where you cannot choose.
But let me ask you, Dakari, is it an issue of affordability? Definitely. Again, because we need to ask ourselves if it's affordability. So does it mean that people don't have food because food is available, or is it that there's no food?
Perfect. Let me just bring you to something. Yeah, for the first time we've seen people in central Kenya asking for food.
Yes.
Food donation.
Yes.
What do you think the problem is?
There's no food.
There's no food. Is it that they don't have money? They're billionaires there.
Exactly. So that is my question, because we were discussing this, and I wish I could get David Dego. We'll try and just call him. And this is the issue. The issue has been that people now want to even give out money to areas where there is no food. So the question that comes in, and that hence the reason why farming and drought is, if there is food available, what is preventing people from accessing this food? Because if you're going to give out people, let's say, money in Marsabit, you give people cash money to buy food. So does it mean that there's food, somebody is hoarding, or what is it?
Yeah, no, it takes us to the laws of economics, where when there's scarcity, there's that dynamics of demand, supply.
Yes.
So the supply is actually diminished. You don't have food because there's limited supply. Millers do not no longer, because of lack of waste, millers don't have, so prices either go up or totally. You can go. I was in Turkana probably I think two months ago. You can go to one duka. Naambiwa there's no bread, there's no unga.
Yes.
Or if you have to buy unga, you buy once per week. They won't be telling you can't go buy following day. Well, because of that demand supply, it will reach a time when they'll tell people only buy one. Do not buy 2 packets of.
Like in the entire country, it's only in Turkana.
No, I'm talking about Turkana.
No, but I mean, you can remember the other time when there was no flour. We were being told to just take 2 packets.
Yeah. So it's a demand supply curve, yeah.
So let's understand this. So is there food available?
Food is not available.
It's not available.
Yes.
So whether you have the money or not. So the reason why food is expensive is because it's not available.
It is not available.
Because if food
Okay,
was available.
I'm lost. I'm trying to understand when you're saying food is not available. Is it countrywide or is it in just some parts of the country?
Apart from the drought, remember we have other factors that are affecting the demand supply curve of food.
Yes.
We have the issue of the war in Ukraine war.
Yes.
We have the issue of oil prices going up, so there's that transportation crisis. Then drought, and then we can backdate it to COVID. So all these, when you put them together, is really affecting the common commodity, which is food.
And so hence, when you talk about now farming and drought, agriculture has been devolved.
Yes.
And there must have been some proper planning that needed to be done. Yes, we could not have expected or planned for the war in Ukraine. Neither could we have planned for COVID.
Yeah.
But everything else was in place. So when you say everything else was in place, what is this thing that was in place that needs to be done differently? Because county governments are also saying they don't have money, they don't have resources, but the agriculture has been devolved. So where does the disconnect? I think you've had a session with some CSCs.
Yes.
Yes.
Not even the CCs. There's a conversation I had with Kyle Poorman, the director of international dialogues at the World Food Prize.
Yes.
And the World Food Prize recently ended, and the conversation was about how can countries come out after the aftershocks like the COVID, and
Yes.
because these things they usually happen unexpectedly. So like he was talking about countries having like a disaster management preparedness unit where you have like, if it is food, there's a store that there's a bank that has food for any such effects, like even the war in Ukraine. And he was like, it's about time countries started talking amongst themselves. Like even in Kenya itself, we are a devolved unit. We have 47 counties.
Yes.
You find that in some regions they have enough food. Go to Uasin Gishu, but Marsabit they don't have food.
Come to think about just the same talk, yeah. I think the news here last week was talking about why some farmers are having their cabbages rotting in Kiambu here, while there are people who are suffering in Marsabit. I think you saw that on TV.
Yeah.
He was complaining. There are people in Kiambu who are complaining that their cabbages in Murang'a, their cabbages are rotting. Now the problem is partially in the policies that have been put in place in terms of the county government and the national government, or county government and other county government in terms of coordinating in such. Each county government might have its own disaster management preparedness program, but the central government, in fact, there's a parastatal which is tasked to look at issues regards to risk management and disaster preparedness. It's called, I just forgot the name, but it's there. We also have water, it's called, I've just forgotten the name. It's all about water. It's supposed to its task is to ensure that there's water across the country. It's a paracetamol, by the way.
So there are very many aspects, many factors that are now it's coming out clearly that it is not political, it is not poor planning. Poor planning is also a factor. There is also the aspect of governance. There is also an aspect of post-COVID unpreparedness, technically. because when COVID hit, we were not getting any imports. True. So we did not plan with what we had to be able to have our reserves. Yes. There's also the aspect of the farmers themselves. Do you think, because I know quite a number of farmers who've stopped farming completely because of the high cost of inputs,
True.
or those who have been doing it are not now using fertilizer, so the yield is not as much. So what do you think needs to be done?
Yeah, according to the conversation I had with Kyle Poorman, he was like, the issue of food security is not about even climate change. It's about poverty. It's poverty related, because once countries in the global south get funding, we'll be able to have better irrigation kinds of methods, better innovations in
storage.
Yes, everything will be, so everything revolves around poverty.
Now, that is interesting, and I think we'll have that conversation. But before we have that conversation, do you think that we are missing the point as the world, as the global south especially? Because these farmers are not being brought on the table. For example, we have so many people going to COP27. But how many of those people are farmers and they see the link between climate and farming? That becomes a disconnect. For any factory or industry, let me talk about a factory, you need the raw materials. These raw materials, even if you talk about irrigation and all those things, and you're not talking to these farmers to entice them. For example, there's a lot of money that is being pumped back into. A good example is Mumia Sugar. Always there's money being pumped in, yeah? But this money is not reaching the farmer. So even if it reaches the farmer, it is paying them the debt that they owed, that the company owed them. But they're not going back and telling them, farmers, please, let us start planting sugarcane again. What do you need? We can outsource a company to make sure that you're in production. So that whatever we are paying you, we will start paying you the new produce that you're delivering, and the ile deni offset pole pole, so that now the factory can have raw material. But even if you pump in more money and the raw material is not coming from the farmers, I think that's a disconnect.
See, that's a policy and planning that we are talking about. If you have very poor planning, you can never.
I don't think it's a matter of planning. I think it's just that some few people are just selfish, because probably there's money that comes in. There's so many political stories that I would not want to mention because they're the dams that we know. Money went into people's pockets. We need to have like an oversight where people are brought to the table and you're questioned. Yes, this money was given. How account for it? How was it spent? Yeah.
Very interesting. So I think we'll be playing the video, the interview you had. It's a brief one, so we'll not play all of it. We'll just play part of it, and then just to get some glimpse. So we'll play part of it in the whole video, just to get to understand part of it. But before that, let us see the image that shows the farming situation, the drought situation. There's an image that we will be sharing there right now on the situation that is out there. Yes. So we can see the extent of the drought. And this is now what you're talking about bad weather.
But even the first video that we played when the show started, like, why would people resort to eating bush rat and blackjack leaves? Is tradition being overrated?
Let's just use the photos first. We see the situation, yes, You're saying?
Yeah, why would people resort to eating such kinds of vegetables? Is like our tradition being overrated? Like, for me, I wouldn't. Bush rat, no.
You know why? As much as bush rat to you is not, but these are things that people used to take long time. If it's an alternative, we see like it's like eating indigenous vegetable. Why is it wrong?
No, the managu and the spider and the managu is okay, terere is okay, but then blackjack leaves. It has medicinal value.
But these are things that were there. These are things that are.
No, I've never seen.
And they serve the purpose. You've not seen, because now that is indigenous.
It's not
That is
indigenous.
indigenous.
Even grass, even grass. Even grass is indigenous.
Do you know that there's some grasses
No,
which are
no.
healthy?
Which one?
Yeah, that are healthy.
No, that one is now going too far.
Is
It's
it
going too far.
But you're the one who's there. Tell us, what did they say?
They said it has a medicine, and I asked them grass.
But why
Ati hii nyasi inamea kwa mahindi, hii iko tu sawa.
Why is it that everything we eat in Africa is medicine now?
No, it's overrated, and probably I would agree with Kyle Poorman when he talks about poverty. Probably people you usually look at things outside and you go like, this one can be eaten, like the gooseberry fruit.
Yes. So
There are many people who
we'll take
look
a
at
short
it.
break. We'll take a short break, and then when we come back, we'll have parts of the interview Jackie had with Kyle, and just to get to understand more about what is happening, what can be done differently as we think about and talk about farming and drought in Kenya. Right here. This is a Farmers Mid-Morning Show.
This year we have, in addition to kind of experts and non-governmental organizational leaders around that work on these issues, we have 10, we have ministers from at least 10 countries that are coming that work in agriculture. So that's really exciting for us. And I can send you the list so you can see kind of what that looks like. And then this is my coworker, Kyle, who is the real expert on these things. So
He's become an African timer.
This is Jacqueline.
American timer.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you? My name's Kyle Poorman. I'm the Director of International Dialogues. Are you in Nairobi?
Yes, I'm in Nairobi, Kenya.
Okay. All
Yes.
right. Well, wonderful. Lots of good friends in Nairobi. Betty Kibara from Rockefeller. Good friend. Good friend with Betty. So and CD Glenn used to be there as well. So I don't know if you know CD, but
I know Betty.
oh, good.
Yeah.
Good. She's actually, so I used to, she got her PhD from Colorado State University in Fort Collins, Colorado. I used to live there, so we have that connection. So
Nice. You speak a little bit of Swahili since she's your friend.
No, zero amount.
Interesting. Probably, I don't know if you're ready. We can start the interview.
Yes, really.
I'll have just you. Are you recording this too?
Yes, I'm recording. Yeah, so that we
Okay.
can.
I'll get out of the way so it's not
Okay.
this weird woman in the side.
So probably you can start by an introduction just for the benefit of our audience to be able to know who we are having. My name is Jackie Kemunto. I'm a producer and presenter at a Farmers Media where we do stories to do with agriculture. And tomorrow will be World Foods Day. So we thought of talking to you people who are working on the food systems in the developed countries. So probably tell us a bit about yourself, who you are, and the organizations you're working with.
Sure. So my name is Kyle Poorman. I'm the Director of International Dialogues at the World Food Prize Foundation. The World Food Prize Foundation was started by Norman Borlaug almost over 30 years ago now. And really that the genesis of that was because Norman won the Nobel Prize, the Nobel Peace Prize for his work on dwarf wheat. And he actually went to the prize committee and said, you know, we should have you should have a Nobel Prize for agriculture. And that wasn't possible. but was possible to start an organization that really brought together people around the world to focus on agriculture. And one of our big pieces is we award the World Food Prize every year. This year it's Cynthia Rosenzweig, a NASA scientist who did kind of the first climate models that showed climate change impacts on agriculture, and she's really morphed over time to bring together modelers from around the world and around the academic spectrum to focus on climate change and then climate change adaptation. And her group that she started is AgMIP. But she was one of the first. 1988, she was doing the first kind of impacts of climate on agriculture in the US. And then in the early 90s, she did a global study, and that's really where she came up on the scene. So we're going to honor her this year. Last year it was Shakuntala Tilsted and her work on fisheries. So we're really, we're a global organization with a mandate to give prizes, but also we try to inspire the next generation of people who are going to work in food systems. And so our youth programs touch people all around the world, in secondary school and in university and in post-university and educators. And so we have significant amounts of youth programming, as well as our kind of dialogue. And so this year, Borlaug Dialogue is occurring this next week, Feeding a Fragile World, where we'll have thousands of people online and about 1,000 people in person.
Very interesting. I don't know. It's the first time I'm hearing about the World Food Prize, but we'll get into that because tomorrow will be World Food Day, and we want to talk about the World Food Day. Probably are you aware of it, and why is it even important to have such days commemorated, and how is America commemorating this day?
Yeah, so well, I think it's important to focus people's attention on food and food systems. And so, in the United States, I would say that a set of people are focused on it. But, around the world, I think, more and more people are commemorating World Food Day. And I really think that's because this is the essential piece of life, right? It's the essential piece of where we are. And so I think we can, for example, if we can focus people's attention on the need for access for healthy food for all, and that's true in the United States. Where a significant portion of people are not getting, healthy food, and around the world. So I think that's of course we should be focusing it on the other 364 days too, but it is a day to focus the attention of the world on food security, on nutrition security.
Very interesting. And when you started talking, you mentioned something about this year's theme focusing about feeding a fragile world. Right now, we are having changing hard times, the effects of climate and the war in Ukraine, and most countries are just busy trying to end hunger. First of all, I don't know if you've heard the report of Kenya lifting a ban on GMOs. What are your thoughts on GMOs? And UN's SDG 2 talks about ending hunger and achieving food security and improving nutrition and promoting sustainable agriculture. If we are to feed a fragile world, what can countries do? Should we go the GMO way because we are having these harsh weather conditions and the changing kinds of seeds that we are doing?
Right. So a phenomenal question. So first of all, feeding a fragile world is really focused on this idea that, what we've learned with climate change, with COVID-19 and a pandemic shock, with a conflict shock, that then create higher prices, that we see that food systems around the world can be very fragile, and events that happen outside of your country, whether it's in the United States or whether it's in Kenya or whether it's in Bangladesh, outside forces can really affect, the provision of healthy food. And so we can deal with that in the short term. For example, price shocks, they're short-term shocks, and then there are long-term shocks like climate shocks that we're going to have to adapt to. But how I view this and how I view the GMO question is that we don't need a single silver bullet solution for everything. We need innovations across the board. And so we need literally thousands of solutions. So it's not just about GMOs, right? And on the GMO topic, I think that GMOs are a specific solution for a specific set of problems. I'll just let you know that there are very few GMOs in the world: maize, soybeans. I think that those are great solutions in some places and may not be great solutions in other places, right? Because we don't have GMOs in vegetable crops and fruit crops, but we have other significant problems there that we need to figure out. And that those problems are like, how do we ship them? How do we keep them cool? How do we get them to market? I'll just, mangoes in Kenya are a great example of investments, and how do we get them to market? How do we get them so that Kenyans can export them to the EU, which would be a big boon. So we need thousands of solutions. And I think biotechnology and GMOs are one solution, but I don't want to get hung up on that, right? I mean, I think GMOs in maize make a lot of sense in Africa because one of the side effects is a good side effect in that it really reduces the amount of aflatoxin, right? And so if we have GM maize, then the aflatoxin problem, which is a significant problem across the continent, really gets reduced, right? And so we have we can reduce aflatoxin in other ways, better storage techniques, PICS bags, but those are kind of small scale solutions. If we have GM maize there, it can reduce the aflatoxin, which causes liver cancer and other cancers. So I think that's. I don't want to get hung up on that though, because there's so many other crops out there that are not GM crops, that are not biotechnology crops. I think there's a market for that, but really we're going to have to make innovations in a lot of other places.
So right now, the theme for this year is feeding a fragile world where most people are going hungry. In your opinion, what would you say are some of the reasons why people are, especially in underdeveloped countries, go hungry, yet majority of them are farmers?
Yes. So I would say yes. So I think the reason why people go hungry is really not about the food supply chain itself, but it's oftentimes about poverty, right? Mm-hmm. And so poverty reduction strategies across the world in developed and developing countries, I think, are essential to food provision, right? And so we call those strategies nutrition sensitive strategies. And so I think that's where we can really hone in. In the United States, for example, we've learned a lot about how we can provide assistance quickly during the pandemic, which was in the form of cash assistance. And what we saw there was the fact that when we provided a basic amount of money to people, we actually saw people spending that on food across the spectrum. And so we need to have nutrition sensitive policies in each of our country. And yes, farmers are typically the ones who bear the brunt of not only the climate shocks, but the ability to feed their families. And they should be able to feed their families. And so we need programs in place that allow them to make a good wage or a good amount of money for the items that they produce. And oftentimes that's not the case now.
Very interesting. Now, what might be some of the differences between a family farmer in the US and being a family farmer in an underdeveloped country? And what do you think is the common? What do you think these farmers have in common?
Well, I mean, I'd say that the things that they have in common are that they are, they're stewards of the land, right? Stewards of the land, and stewards basically of all of us, right? Because all the people who rely upon their food for survival, I think that's common amongst a soybean or maize producer in Iowa, or a maize producer in Tanzania, right? I mean, they're very common. I would say that what's different is
Actually, we've been listening to Kyle and Kyle who? Kyle Perman. Jackie. Oh, mimi nilikuwa nafikiri nasema story ya soko. Anyway, we are back. Thank you for having listened to that. So that was Kyle Perman, and Jackie. As you were talking to him, he's mentioned and he sounds very, very interested in the situation that we are. But he's talking about poverty so much in relation to the hunger that we have. Yes. What was your take? What was the takeout from the interview?
My takeout from the interview was people actually are not aware. There's a lot of misinformation that is going around, trying to find out exactly where we are going wrong. And just as his position, Director of International Dialogue, it's about time that people sit, even as the ongoing COP27 continues right now, the discussion should actually revolve around implementing the discussions that have been the previous discussions, not just going again to start again talking about there's climate change. They need now to talk about implementing what was already discussed, and that way the information will come out. Because like here at Farmers, we've been collecting, asking people, what is your take about COP27? What would you want people to talk about? And once we gather this information, and we air it, people will get to understand. Like there's last week we talked to Dominic Wanji here, and he was like, people are bringing the GMOs and the fertilizers that have been banned from other countries. They're bringing and dumping them in Africa. We should not accept that. Me, I never knew. But now from the information I got, if we aired it and people saw, we all start getting informed. So that's the dialogue that people need to have.
And what do you think, Dr. Before we bring in something?
Poverty is actually a big contributor to the hunger problem in Africa. You ask yourself why there are countries that don't actually receive rain, but they're not complaining of hunger. Seeing like the Middle East, have we heard of people suffering in the Middle East of hunger and whatnot? The same weather, the same climatic condition that is in Somali, is in Saudi Arabia.
And in Egypt.
And in Egypt.
And in Israel.
You don't see people fighting. So you can see the connection. It's all about poverty, financial power.
So are you guys saying that this poverty is designed? The world is poor by design.
by choice, I can tell you. If you have poor governance.
So it's engineered poverty. I think so. I think it's engineered poverty.
You see why so many African countries are actually falling in the gap of poverty because of poor governance, corruption. You've let corruption just infiltrate all the systems in government, Like you wonder why each county government has funds for disaster management. There's a fund for disaster management, but still they'll go to it's called Red Cross. Red Cross will always be there to donate food.
It's very interesting because I don't understand it professional, and that is my view. For the president of a country to be the patron of Red Cross, and yet we have NYS that can produce very excellent skill sets in farming. So this engineered poverty considering devolution has been, is it devolution? Sorry, agriculture has been devolved, health has been devolved. Do you think that is the beginning of the challenges? Because we are not seeing inter-government, as in national government and county government, because I would have expected at least to have seen the CECs of agriculture in the counties meeting with the CS of agriculture and even pledging for them to pledge like whatever percentage we get from the national government, we're going to dedicate to agriculture. Question is, are they dedicating it to production or to relief? Because right now we're in
relief mode.
Yeah, it all goes back to the audit. If you look at the audit system, or look at how the county governments are channeling their budgetary allocations, what is going into agriculture, what is going into relief, what is going into disaster management. Yeah, for example, like Budalang is in Busia County.
Yes. Yes.
There's that systematic, always has. We're going to see that in December. Floods. We're having floods. But there's funds for that. What is the question is, how can they be able to have a long-term solution, not waiting for disaster to happen? Like, for example, I was just reading a report from World Bank, or not really World Food Program, talking about the famine that's been consistent from 2008 went to 2011 to 2017. Now it's 2022. We're having consistent.
But yes, and coming to Jackie's point about people eating grass, have we limited ourselves to what we should eat? Because if you visit any Kenyan household, you'll find rice, chapati, ugali, at most probably mukimo or even to get mudoko is not very easy these days. Even to get nicely done sweet potatoes is really hard. So is it that we've limited ourselves, or is it that, because if you go to our neighboring countries, you don't hear them talking about really, drought might be there, but you don't hear them talking about a lack of food.
I think it's all about preference.
Because I know for sure, if somebody takes whiskey and you reach a place where there is no whiskey, you will drink vodka.
Exactly, that's what I was about to tell you the day.
Oh, you're about to give us
when salary kingia, that is the day you'll eat chapati, nyama. It will go it end up with your pocket. Now at the end of the day, you'll still feed yourself, but you'll feed on what is there. Yeah, we were just discussing about over years we've been hearing of people in Ukambani,
yes,
which is eastern province of Kenya.
Yes,
people suffering, people eating mangoes, boiled mangoes to eat.
No, instance where people were actually even eating, was it dogs?
Yeah, people were eating dogs. People eat scrambled for rats, Though in Nigeria, I know there are people who are following us from Nigeria. They'll tell you that big rat you're talking about is a delicacy there.
Yes. No.
In Malawi and Zambia,
rats eat dirty things. Rats are no. Why? We've not gotten to that point. We've not gotten to that point.
The same way you eat pork is the same way somebody eats So it's
but this now that comes to your point. In fact, the only catch is that is everything a medicinal.
That's what people believe, that everything is. But then at the end of the day, you are what you eat. Yes. But
also what you drink.
No.
Why are we very selective on what we eat? and we're not selective.
We don't drink a lot, we eat a lot.
So you see, we are now spoiled choices because Kenya has moved from a third world nation into a lower middle class. That is why, if people don't eat this kind of food, it's that now people can now complain. You see, it reaches a point where there are countries where people are used to eating this kind of food daily,
Yes.
So that if it's not there, you won't, but there's an alternative. You won't hear people complaining so much.
If we are having a shortage of maybe kales, now we result to eating grass.
No,
Eh?
not necessarily.
Eh?
Are there alternatives?
And then now it also goes back to what we were talking about
Yes.
these indigenous drought-resistant vegetables that we have here in Africa.
Yes.
Things like managu and I mean they grow as wild. We'll call them wild plants. It's called
Amaranthus.
Amaranthus, yes.
Amaranthus.
Anyway, as we do this, let's get a glimpse of what the weather looks like, because I think one of the things that I have seen challenging is that the fact that we don't have proper weather monitoring tools, especially for farmers, so that you can be able to know what you need to do and when you need to do that. So we'll be sharing the.
Whatever happened to the meteorological department?
It is there. Courtesy, actually, yes. let me refresh. Yes, the weather forecast that we'll be sharing is courtesy of the Kenya Meteorological Department.
But this department is one of the most. I almost said something.
No.
But no, all their weather forecasts and never come true. Sorry to say. You might be told that it is going to rain heavily. There will be floods in Budalangi.
For Nairobi, we're expecting some sunny rain and sunny intervals. I hear it is raining in some parts of Nairobi.
In Nairobi.
Yes.
And the forecast is saying it is sunny.
Raining. Yes, rainy.
There's somebody
Sunny intervals. We have some sunny
somebody
intervals.
following the show in bed right now, telling me that it's raining in Nairobi.
Yes, it's raining. Nairobi, Marsabit is raining.
Really?
We're expecting some rains.
Kajiado?
Temperatures highs of 18. You know, there's some places, even if the temperature drops, it's like it has rained.
Yeah.
You know, and then
Limuru.
Yeah.
So somebody told me, like, if they say 20% chances of precipitation,
Yes.
they look at a region, let's say the whole of Kitengela area or Kitengela or the county as a whole. 20% is 20%
Of the county even.
Of the county, a specific
Yes.
location can rain.
Yeah.
That is where they
So Nyeri has been interesting. We are expecting rains and sunny intervals, temperatures of 14, highs of 14, highs of 25, lows of 14. Another county that is on the watch is the counties of Garissa, Lamu, Lodwar, Makindu, Malindi, Mandera. Uko kuna jua. Sunny intervals. Moyale, Sem, Voi, we have sunny intervals. Wajir was very interesting, but that Wajir is even close to flooding now. And you can see there's some rains expected. Machakos, hey, joto kama joto. Kajiado is hot and sunny. That is Kajiado.
No, it was drizzling some minutes back.
Yeah, that you needed to mist. Kericho is intervals, but cold. Highs of 24 and lows of 13. Yeah, so again, looking at it very critically, there are a few things that we're not doing the right way. For
Yes.
example, the weather forecasting, in terms of even agricultural-based weather forecasting. Because if you tell a farmer it's rains and sun intervals, what is this farmer supposed to do? So there's that aspect that is not being felt, and the farmers are not getting this information. Who is supposed to do this? Is it county government? Is it national government? Because national government is Kenya Meteorological Department. These other options we're looking at is private, and they're geared towards profit making. So what can we do differently?
Since agriculture is devolved, in my opinion, I think the county government should also take it upon itself to be giving the exact weather conditions in the different counties. That's my opinion. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we have all this information for free out there. Why can they use it to plan ahead?
So is it things like now integrating satellite transmission of weather stations, or what can be done there?
No, it takes us back.
Unatengeneza wind gauge.
Weather station,
Because I think we should have county, as you're saying. In fact, actually sub-county weather stations.
You see, it all levels down to what we talked about, planning. If you have poor plans by a county government, you will still be having the same problem. That's what I'm talking about.
Or you have good plans, but the money is going elsewhere. You know, money is only funded when the plan is very good.
Yeah, of course.
That's what I was talking about from
Because
the
if
beginning.
you have a county that knows that every 2 years we have this unpredictable rain pattern, like right now in Kenya, I was reading somewhere that December has been known to be flooding It's
Yes.
a new weather pattern that is there. You're seeing Wajir right now, it's experiencing, because as we are heading into December, we are seeing rainfall that wasn't supposed to be there long time ago. December hasn't been raining, but right now December is flooding. Last year, is it last year or the year before that? We had floods that broke down a bridge here in Kajiado.
Yeah.
The bridge we passed the other day. When you're going.
Meaning that we are heading into unpredictable rainfall patterns that we do not understand. And that is where the county governments need to work closely with Kenya Meteorological Department, which has been there since before independence.
But why is it that basic things are not being done? Because I think that for me that is the bond of why don't you have county because we have radar stations in different parts of the country. How come we don't have county weather stations?
It all depends with the boardroom that is in the county.
Anyway,
But then again, what happens to now this rainwater? As Makio, you're talking about December being a flooding month. What happens to all this rainwater? Shouldn't we have mechanisms of conserving and preserving this water?
in Africa, Kenya is the worst in water harvesting.
That is
The worst.
put a decoy there.
Let me tell you something. It is the
opinion.
worst. When I say the worst is because gutters, gutters here collect much, is the most expensive part. Let me tell you, in Kenya, gutters are very expensive.
Very expensive.
But you can make your own.
No, those should actually be a government to say that you have to 1% of your budget, construction budget, like in South Africa. 1.5% of your budget is gutters. So that you
No, let's do here.
they even have ways, the way you put a chain and there's very rare to see flooding in South Africa. In Kenya, gutters is the maridadi ya nyumba. Honestly speaking.
And it's very essential when it comes to rainwater collection, rainwater harvesting. I think it should be a policy. Like in the US, there are some states that are putting it mandatory for rainwater harvesting when it comes to construction of your houses, or flood control, like you talked about back. I was in Louisiana, and that is one of the housing controls they're looking at when you're building, because of lots of flooding. Naoko, when it floods, it's just crazy. It's big. So I don't know what we need. Serious integration or with serious private sector participation when it comes to policies, especially in the county level, because we cannot be having counties that are having very low budgetary allocation for agriculture, yet the same counties that will go to the central government when it comes to asking for money for relief. That is just weird.
Yeah, so anyway, because honestly I don't understand how we do things. Me, honestly, it really pains me to see the way just having a gutter is very expensive. I think those are things, as you're saying, policies. If somebody is importing gutter friendly materials, you do what? You actually the exempted from some taxes.
In Rwanda, they exempt such.
Yes. Again, the other thing is that if you're constructing your house, you can it can be an agreement, since we want a lot of water. For the period of construction or the first 5 years, what we'll do, we'll exempt you from land rents.
Yes, yes.
Because those land rents just go to someone's pocket. But you see, if you can imagine if you have 1,000 houses, and of those 1,000 houses, 800 actually harvest water.
You see, the problem in Kenya, the biggest problem we have in Kenya is politics, because you have this great idea, but now you come in as a governor, or you come in as a president, but you have to reward your people in there, and those people, the cronies who don't have such focus, you see.
And they're not even part of the other thing is that because that's why I say it's a sham. In fact, because it should actually be told that, hey, if you're constructing, we'll only approve your construction design, what I call the architectural designs, if we see there's a gutter that will be placed in that.
But is it only for the gutters? Because where I'm coming from is this issue of people drilling boreholes, dams, harvesting, sand harvesting.
You see, those are the things. For example, boreholes. How many boreholes do you have, just
Really?
within from here to the main road. And you see, there's regulation that you're supposed to have X number of balls within a certain radius.
If you're coming here today, the chance of coming this, there's somebody who's just doing a borehole
Just down there, yes.
and it's flooded the whole the whole road.
Yes.
You see, they need a lot of regulation in terms of from the central
And I
government.
think it's less than 50 meters from Jenkins.
Yeah,
The guy
What?
supplies us water. So if it goes deeper,
yeah. And you know the aquifer is
think-
one. There's one aquifer.
there's one aquifer.
So if you mismanage the aquifer, and also I don't know how they regulate these drilling companies because
It's there. Like Warma is there. Water Resource Management Authority is supposed to regulate that. But you see, if these guys are doing it, but
I mean, do they have a complete audit of how they do the drilling?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I think we might have to. That's a very interesting discussion that we need
Because
to have. Yeah.
we have in so many companies sprouting out
Yeah.
drilling, and you never know because the aquifer down there is very, very sensitive.
Because those are again the policies that we're asking ourselves when the president says that we need to have more irrigation.
Exactly.
And for me, I don't think dams is the only solution. I think we need to boreholes, yes, but I think they have to be regulated.
Yeah, balls surely because when we look at the future and we are not certain about the precipitation, yeah,
Yes.
rainfall patterns. You know, this rain, the one that feeds the aquifer down there.
Yeah.
This
Anyway.
rain feeds the aquifer.
Very interesting. So we'll take a short break and then we'll come back. We'll have some traffic update, and then we get into the discussion of COP27. What are we doing? What are we preparing ourselves? What are you as a farmer? Let us know in the comment section. If you're watching us, what do you think about COP27? This is a farmer's breakfast show.
This is the sight we get every time we walk. These are this thicket. You just see dead animals because of the drought. It's quite bad. In fact, even my dogs cannot even approach that because it's too smelly. It's crazy out here. I mean, there's nothing for these animals to eat. Totally nothing. It's all dry and everywhere we look, it's dry. It's bad. This is the situation here. So we need to have these water ponds filled with water. At least the animals can survive. You can see it's all littered. Death, starvation.
Hii mambo ya jai inawapeleka namna gani? Hii njia inatupeleka kwa mbio sana, ambazo ng'ombe, unapoona hii ng'ombe yangu sasa, hii ng'ombe mwenyewe sasa tumeshindwa hata kulisha, watoto ndio hawa wameshindwa kwenda shule, kwa sababu sasa ukipeleka ng'ombe pale sokoni inanunuliwa ng'ombe kwa shilingi 1,000. Sasa unaona sasa dunia sasa imeenda bwana. Sasa sio ng'ombe ndio sisi nalilia sana, tunalia serikali iangalie watu, sababu inabaki siku chache kama hiyo mwezi mwingine ijayo, utakuta watu wameanza kufendi, especially kama watoto kama hawa wadogo wao hawana namna nyingine isipokuwa wanategemea hii mpira inaitwa ng'ombe. Na ng'ombe sasa thamani yake imeisha. Sasa watu wameshindwa kwenda dukani wakwenda, sababu hii shilingi 1,000 kwa familia nzima hawezi kulala kama saa 5 ama saa 6 ya mchana. Kesho tena ng'ombe 800 mpaka 500 ng'ombe. Sasa hiyo 500 ukipeleka dukani na familia nzima ya watu 20 ama 10, sasa itakuwa ni ng'ombe tunashughulikia ama watoto? Ni watoto. Basi kwa hiyo tunaomba serikali ituangalie sana, especially watu ambao wameumia sana. Hakuna chakula Kenya, gharama ndio hiyo imepanda, unga ni shilingi 200 na vitu mingi ambayo tunaona shida, especially wasee kama sisi tunaona shida kubwa kwa nje. Haijawahi tangu sisi tusaliwe wasee wetu walikutoi, hatujawahi kuona kiangazi kama hii. Labda ni ile ya 1959 mpaka 60, wakati tulipata ile unga ambayo ililetwa na Amerika. Wakati hiyo tulikuwa sisi watoto wadogo kama huyu mtoto wangu. Lakini hizi miaka ingine yote kama miaka 50 ijayo hatujawahi kuona ni kama ile.
I hope you can hear me now. I don't know if you can hear me now. I don't know if you can hear me.
We can
Yes,
hear you.
great. Sorry, we are back on air, and one of the things that we've been discussing is the link between farming, drought, and the situation that we are in. We are seeing farmers. We kept on telling ourselves let us make farming attractive to the youth. I don't know, Jack, if you are still for that idea of making farming attractive to the youth.
Yes, I'm in for it.
And what is this youth?
Youth is anyone below the age of 35 years.
Sorry?
Anyone below the age of 35 years, and especially ladies.
I'm being told you need to speak a bit louder.
Guy, I'm screaming. I can't be heard.
I don't know if you can hear us. Great, yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think mine is to look for ladies, and I'm looking forward to the project and the campaign we want to run.
Yeah, we should be giving out more information this week, yes.
Yes, there are so many ladies who have
So what is the
approached me.
disconnect? What is the disconnect
For?
between, I think we keep on talking, and I think we talk, and the country talks a lot about this farming thing. One of the things that I'm asking myself are we doing the right thing, first of all, by talking about farming and agriculture in the same sentence?
Yes.
No, sorry, farming and drought, sorry.
Farming and agriculture.
Farming and drought. Do you think it's the right thing we're doing?
We shouldn't be, because there's no way you can practice agriculture when
you
there's
having-
drought. But at the end of the day,
so
we are
let
victims
us
of
be
our
very
own
honest,
doing.
Daktari. And the people talking to quit Daktari. Aye.
Eh,
Let me ask you, what is drought?
Drought is a resultant of global climate change, yeah, and global warming, and because of that, it limits our rainfall, and due to lack of rain, we do not have vegetable growth, and that basically leads to poor agricultural activities. So because of that, we are left with no food, and because of lack of food, we have famine. A famine is a direct resultant of drought. Now, because of drought is directly related to the global climate change that we're experiencing now, due to low rainfall pattern. Because of low rainfall, we do not have vegetable growth, and because of no vegetable growth, we don't have food in the granaries. Now, I tried talking about climate smart agriculture. People will try to look at that, and she just contradicted herself.
No.
We cannot have drought and agriculture at the same time, and we were talking about climate smart agriculture. I think
what is climate smart agriculture?
An agricultural practice that is not directly reliant on climatic conditions, yeah,
Such as?
like if you are depending on rainfall patterns. Yeah? So the best kind of a good example is irrigation. Irrigation as a way of farming. Yeah? Other things I can go deep into hydroponics, aquaponics.
Where does the water for irrigation come from?
From rainwater harvesting, we can do the boreholes.
Yes. Yes. Why are we not doing the borehole?
You've just talked about these guys who are drilling boreholes now. You can imagine
you
if
see-
every homestead was to drill a borehole,
No, but you see
where
what
would
we-
be
no,
at?
we didn't talk about we talked about regulation. Remember, even water harvesting has to have some regulation. But then, even if you're harvesting water, it has to be in a regulated way, because what happens is that people harvest water, it creates dams. Those dams overflow, they kill people downstream.
But at the end of the day, as much as you're talking about climate smart agriculture, we'll still end up being victims of our own doing, because once we destroy the environment, this whole topic of climate change and its effects will never end.
You know where much of the river water goes to? Much of all this river water goes
In
to.
the boreholes.
They go back to the sea, and the sea becomes salty, cannot be used again. You see, the big river Tana here dams its water in the Indian Ocean. Eh? Will it break a bone if we channel that water into serious agriculture? instead of just letting it dump itself into the ocean and we leave it like that.
Everything, most of the things are happening because we've not regulated.
Yes.
We've not regulated how farmers access fertilizer.
But must people be regulated?
Everything has to be regulated, Jackie. That is why God put a mouth and teeth. Imagine if the mouth was inside the teeth.
And a brain.
Imagine if your brain was
But people
was
need
here.
to use the.
Imagine if your brain was here. Imagine if the mouth was in the stomach.
Yes.
You would not enjoy the taste. They would not be enjoying taste of food. But then you eat because you enjoy the taste of food. That's why it is here inapita, unasikia ikipita, unakunywa maji na teremka. You know, so everything, and that's the reason why I say why we're suffering most is because it is not regulated.
Yes.
Okay. In some way.
Egypt, like I told you, Egypt is now taking full advantage of the River Nile.
Pause, Daktari. I want us to have this discussion with Jackie. Jackie, look at me. The question we're asking is this. Drought is not as a result of drilling boreholes. Let us start there.
Partly.
No, let us agree there first.
No. Continue.
You cannot rely on rain-fed farming and feed even you yourself. Let us accept there.
Then where will the water that you're believing to be having coming from? Where is it coming from?
No. I want us to go with facts. No, it's my time to ask questions. You will ask questions. Do you believe that you cannot rely on rainfall to eat?
I don't believe.
Good. What is the alternative of rain for you to eat all year round?
There's no alternative.
So what can people do?
Start practicing, doing better practices.
Like?
Stopping deforestation.
No, but you see, you're talking about rain. We're not talking about rain.
But where does the rain come from? We need our ground to be covered. If you leave the ground bare, the rain will not fall. Rain will not fall. It's a punishment from God because you're destroying
Good. So that's
the environment.
She's actually going in the right direction. You're telling us
So many of my students.
Actually, she's taking us the right direction.
Watching this.
The direction I wanted her to take. So you want to tell me Egypt have just been punished by God throughout?
Yeah, they were really punished one time, by the way.
What about Israel? And what about these countries that don't experience rainfall and still produce?
I was talking to somebody who is in Qatar, who went to Qatar last week and came back, and asked him one question. Are there people suffering because of hunger there? You know, that's like a small Garden of Eden when you went there. So things are.
In fact, they have started growing food using their soil.
Yeah, their soil.
Yes. So.
But I can give you an example, like what my parents are doing.
No. Before we go into our parents, you know, girls really love their parents. Let me ask you, Jackie. What is then, where are we facing hunger and yet rain falls in Kitale, in the western region, Eldoret and all that? Why are we not having food coming from there? In fact, wale watu wako huko wanauliza, sibutu tumia kitu. Why are we not doing that if at all that rain is...
No, there I don't know why we don't have enough food. But me, I know from my place, there's enough food because of the practices that you practice. Do you know that for you to get healthy maize that you can actually mill into flour, it needs 6 hours of full sun daily? Yes, that I know. Do you think that rain in those areas, that it rains even when you're harvesting, is a contributing factor to the lack of having maize even on the farms? No, it's not true. If you have a proper storage facility. Jackie, you talk to very many farmers, and I am very sure you have farmers in Kitale. How many of them are doing 30 bags of maize per acre? And with all that rain? I doubt if there are any. Do you know that maize production here in Makueni is higher than in Kitale? No. It is much higher. What are they doing? We're talking about two types of maize. The amount of green maize that is harvested in Kambani region as compared to what is harvested as maize for flour in because the weather favors them. The only difference is rain. Not really. I'm thinking because you've talked of two varieties of maize. So the maize. I talked about not varieties. I talked about two different regions. Remember. But the varieties cannot be the same. Whether or not the varieties is the same,
it doesn't matter. By the way, it does. Let me just be very honest. It doesn't matter. In fact, seed is 1% of everything. If you have the right seed for the wrong soil, you're doomed. Yes. So at the end of the day, for me, what I've actually seen, and this is the point that I wanted to ask, is the difference. Why we're having drought is a natural occurrence. We cannot change that.
No,
fact.
no. I beg to differ.
When we
It's
have
not a
farming,
natural occurrence. It's the activities that people practice on their farms.
so you want to say that shower system should not be introduced?
Shamba system.
Let me mute Jackie. So let me ask you, Jackie. So why I'm saying drought is because drought you cannot change so much. I mean, definitely for some reason you will get drought. You will see the drought is there, and it's not affected Kenya only. It's around the world, and it is true.
It's a Horn of Africa for now.
Yes, and it's very true. You're saying that. Yes, it's because of our practices.
Yes.
We don't plant trees, we cut down trees, we're burning charcoal, things like over plowing.
Even the chemicals that we are using on our farms,
Exactly.
they're part of
Yes.
The things that are destroying the ecosystem.
Yes, we are increasing the carbon.
Look at Nairobi River. There is part of it that has completely dried because of pollution. People throw away whatever.
Now, the other thing is that we should also factor in, which is a question to both of you. Is there something that can be done differently?
There's a lot that can be done differently.
Let us like what?
From my own understanding of climate smart agriculture, is not this agriculture that you guys talk about, the pillars of climate smart agriculture. Climate smart agriculture
Just move closer to the mic.
can be practiced like minimum tillage. You don't need to dig your farm at you're trying to make the soil look good. The fertilizers and the chemicals that are used on the farms, there's no need. You can do organic, or you can do an aquaponic the way Mwakio is doing, and the whole system is
But then can you do maize aquaponics?
Now that, yeah, you can do it now, but on a soil free, it's going to be a bit complicated.
Yes.
It will need a lot of space and a lot of work, but it can be done.
Yes. So at the end of the day, I think for me, what I say is that everything else can be done. You can do organic, you can do aquaponics, but for commercial feeding of the country, we have to be very sure that we're doing the right thing. For example, basic things like soil management has to be done the right way. You cannot run away from that. If it is inputs should be affordable, and then we should also expand our test buds and eat more different foods.
bushrat.
No, you yes. And
But
on that note, I want us to
even
talk-
the soil management that you're talking about, why is it that we are having to test our soils now? Did our forefathers used to test their soils?
Why do you go for blood tests in hospital? Did your forefathers used to do that?
No, they used to eat indigenous vegetables which have a medicinal value.
And then you still find them in a chemist.
Another thing we also need to look at is urbanization. Fast growth rate of urbanization and this land defragmentation. You see, keep on selling. You see why, for the first time, Central Kenya is asking for food. They no longer have land for farming.
Exactly.
Now I get.
Yes,
I was
so
not getting.
So it's not just about not planting. It is now, I mean, if you use Naivasha Road, it used to be so cool. Now there's very many flats, all that. If you go to Kiambu, you go to Embu, there's everybody selling. People know, barabara itapita hapa, so people sell the land. So when they sell the land, they put up,
They will sell even as small as this
Yes.
studio.
How many trees do you see in Kitengela from here to Kitengela?
No trees.
Exactly. So most people are actually cutting down trees to put up, even farming activities to put out. And the worst thing is that even those flats that are being constructed are not harvesting water.
Yes. They don't even have it. You see, that is one thing we were discussing as professionals in urban,
Yes.
like urban professionals. We're
Yeah.
discussing, urbanization is really killing Africa in terms of food production, and it's also a contributing factor to this climate change, because we want to urbanize, we want to industrialize, but we don't have an alternative source of food production.
Exactly. Yes. And so that before we come to an end, we want to talk about come farm with us. We have this challenge that it's a challenge, but it's an opportunity as well for young people to be able to come in and see how we can be able to do some of these activities together. So we have something that we're sharing on your screens there, down here, down there. They say down here. So yes. So that is the come farm with us. It's an opportunity for 12 young people to be able to come. How old what is young? Young is 35 and below.
35 and below, but
Yes.
you can 18 come from
No.
from around 25 there.
Yes, 25. But we will
35.
select, we'll see. So a point of clarification for this is that come farm with us, you come to farm in our land. You know, we've had some questions, people asking whether we're going to their place. So come to farm where we are. It is a place called, it's close to Namanga. We'll be sharing some details on this on our social media handles, so make sure you follow. And we'll tell you more about it. There's the farm is free water, free agronomic support, free seeds, and the irrigation system that is already in place. So make sure that you actually call the numbers there, 0700 29 30 31, or just send us a message on our social media platforms and tell us you're interested, tell us why. We'll be sharing a form that you'll be able to use to apply to come and farm with us.
I love the way Fiona usually says the place where the farm is at. She usually says, it is at a place called Ngatatoek. Like she says all the words. Ngatatoek. Yeah. But yes, which crops are we looking at now? On the farm with us.
Well, we will have that form. We are still deliberating based on the weather patterns. We are based on so much. So please keep it locked here. We'll be telling more. I think Evening Drive will have a form that we'll be sharing. Yes, and we also are looking for more partners to be able to come and join us with this Come Farm with us. So last words.
Now, there's nothing we can talk about when it comes to climate change. We actually seeing, we are watching closely the summit. In fact, our president is there. Right?
Yeah.
Yes, he landed yesterday. Yeah.
For our president to be there, you need to know that is serious matter.
Exactly. Yes.
So we need to follow it closely. We see what policies that are there, especially when it comes to agriculture, because agriculture is actually the biggest pillar in our nation.
Yes.
The biggest employer. It feeds us. If everything goes down because of weather, then we all go down.
Exactly. Yes. Jackie, your last words?
My last words are let's
Jackie
be
never has
our
last
own.
words.
Let's be our own brothers keepers and take care of the environment, because we wouldn't be having such discussions about food insecurity. I know you usually say there's nothing like food insecurity in the 21st century. Like, let's go back to our roots, start taking care of the environment. And we cannot wait for our leaders to make policies for us. We can actually be our own policy makers.
Exactly.
And if I come out today and you follow me tomorrow, I bet we'll be having a better environment and climatic condition in the coming years. So let's be our brothers keepers.
Thank you. For me, it is very basic. We have to make sure that we are doing our part as farmers. It is not just about the seed, but seed plays a very important role. Make sure that your soil is healthy. The healthier your soil is, the better for you, the better yield that you get. Make sure that you are also using the right source of nutrition for your crops as well. But most importantly, keep it locked here on A Farmer's Media, where we help you connect, learn, and grow. This is the Mid Morning Show. See you tomorrow.
Bye.